Hi everyone, my name is Morgan and I'll be presenting my environmental career catalog that I made this year. So, last summer, while I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my project, I was also thinking about the fact that I only had 1 year left in college. After that, I was going to have to go find a big girl job in my field, and I still didn't know exactly what I wanted that to look like. I always knew that I loved the planet, but I also knew that there were thousands of ways to get involved, and I just didn't know exactly what part I really fit into, which left me feeling like this. But I quickly found that I was not the only person feeling this way. Environmental careers are great for so many reasons, but being at the start of that path can feel really overwhelming with the different ways that that path can twist around and intersect with other paths. It can be a lot to think about all at once, which is why I decided to create the Environmental Career Catalog. I wanted to help students like myself navigate this twisting, winding path with excitement rather than anxiety. I wanted to communicate the plethora of options that students had without being overwhelming and falling back into the same problem that I set out to fix in the first place. Through this process, I also ended up hosting an environmental career workshop through my club Plant Futures, where students were able to connect with local professionals and learn more about what they do and how they got into their role. The workshop was really successful, but I still wanted to create my zine as a product that could last beyond the 2 day workshop. I hoped that if I could make something fun, interactive, colorful, and interesting to look at the same time help students think about their own passions and interests while exploring those of others, that might actually help students think about the topic of a career with excitement rather than anxiety. So I designed this magazine and I included 3 central parts. First were the journal prompt pages. These were meant to help students brainstorm and write down what they were already thinking about or what they knew in terms of the career path they'd like to choose. I chose questions that range from practical features like what skills do you want to use or build more, or do you prefer to work in teams or individually, to more reflective questions like what originally inspired you to get into this line of work. When I sat down and answered these questions for myself, I was shocked at the things I was able to come up with. These ideas were always in my brain or in my heart, but the time I spent actually putting words to them brought me so much clarity. Next were the interview pages, and these were a lot of fun. I learned that people, especially people in the environmental field, love to talk about what they do. And I learned that you can combine a passion for environmentalism with literally anything and make a career out of it, which is what I hope my readers are taking away from this as well. These are a couple example pages from this section. Each page highlights a different individual that I interviewed, their background, their day-to-day tasks, and where they feel they make the biggest impact from their role. Lastly, I ended the zine with an advice letter. I wanted to leave readers with a sense of peace. This zine was meant to ask them to explore. It didn't ask anyone to make any immediate decisions or take any immediate action. Just give yourself an opportunity to spend some time really thinking about it. I asked each of my interviewees what they would say to a college student who wants to work in this line of work, but maybe isn't exactly sure where, or is maybe also discouraged by the magnitude of the environmental crisis and all of the bad news we seem to be receiving about it. I compiled their responses into one letter for the readers to read before they put the zine down, and I hope that it leaves them feeling calm, yet excited to go after what they want. I learned a lot throughout this process. Number one, I learned that informational interviews aren't as scary as I thought, and they're actually really, really fun. I also learned that you can make a career out of a passion for literally anything. I think one of the most interesting combinations that I found was my interviewee, Rosemary Hall. She is an artist in residence who was able to combine her artistic prowess with an interest in entomology and education to encourage people to look closer at the world around them in both a scientific and artistic way. I also learned a lot about the design and printing process. My mentor Mia helped me navigate the design concepts like color palettes and font pairing, which were all pretty new to me. I also learned how convoluted and difficult the printing process can be. It took weeks of email communication to get my first proof. This is me showing my mom how excited I was when I finally had my project on paper. And then this is me the day before Eli presentations when I found out the machine that was supposed to print my project was broken until the following week. Lastly, I learned that I had a lot of skills that I never would have thought of as skills. Email communication was a big one. I never thought that emailing was really a skill, but with how much I've developed it throughout this process, between coordinating interview times and managing professional relationships through written communication, it has showed me that that is a skill worth practicing and building. I also always thought that I was just an extremely talkative person, which is very true, but I didn't realize that it could actually be a skill too until I applied it to the interview process. I found that my interviews to be really fun, and I conducted my best ones when I was relaxed and mostly treating it as a conversation where my goal was to learn as much about the person, their background, and what they do as possible. As far as the future of my project, I'll be distributing it across campus at the Career Services Center, the Cool Library, the ES Advising Office, and a few other locations as well. It will also live digitally on the Eli and Cool websites, and I'll be giving the rights to Plant Futures to print or expand on the template that I built. I will also be leaving behind the template for any future Eli student or Plant Futures member who wants to create a second issue or make this project their own. Thank you very much.